Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The next session at the startup stage will begin in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the startup stage, brought to you by the Consumer Technology Association. Please welcome your moderator, Omi Bell.
Hello. I think we can do a little bit better than that. Come on, you're the best audience of the day. Give yourselves a round of applause for being the best audience of the day. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Omi Bell. I am the CEO of Black Girl Ventures. And today, we're going to talk about building a network. a lot of times you hear a lot of conversation about access to capital. And when we're talking about access to capital, it's usually financial. However, all money comes from people. All the money that you're raising is you talking to someone to raise it. So today, let's dig behind the scenes. Let's think through what it really takes to raise the capital that you're trying to take, what it takes to sustain networks, which is an interesting thing, and what it takes to be in rooms where you're the only one that's like you, and to stay in those rooms. They tell you if you're the smartest person in the room, you go to a new room and get a new circle, but no one teaches you how to be the dumbest person in the room. So we're going to talk about that today. First up, I want you to give a round of applause to my panelists like they have just paid your rent, okay? How would everybody feel about that? Okay, that's how happy I want you to be about them. First up, we have Shyla Nieves Burney, founder and managing partner at Zane Venture Fund. Next, we have Rizzo, serial entrepreneur, CEO of Cam Media Team. And last but not least, Shelly Zales, founder and CEO of the Female Quotient. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to let my esteemed panel do their own introductions. And so we're going to kick it off with telling us your name again, your venture, or your company, and why is it important to have a network?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shyla Nieves Burney. I'm the founder and managing partner for Zane Venture Fund. We're an early-stage venture fund investing in diverse founders and teams who are creating tech-enabled solutions, primarily in the Southeast, so meaning Atlanta and beyond. It's important to build a network because you can't raise a fund without it. If I decide I'm going to go out and do this kind of work, which is huge, I need a network of people who can connect me to the folks who can get me the capital. And so it's incredibly important. And I can't start that the day I decide I'm going to raise a fund. I had to do that like my entire career. Just build up a community of folks who I network in different spaces. But to get that sort of believability factor, I had to network and make sure I have a community who could speak on my behalf. And so it's incredibly important to have a network when you're building anything.
Yeah, I'm Rizzo with Cam Media Team and King Kong and Energy Drink. Networking is just the key to success. It's my life. It changed my life when I didn't even know I was networking, which we'll get into that. But everyone in the room, I'm just going to give you an example of networking. If you sat down, you probably sat down on a card that has a QR code, and it says Kong and Forever, right? Yeah, you have it. Scan that. This is networking. Now we are connected, and you're going to see more from me in the future.
And I am Shelly Zales, the CEO of the Female Quotient, otherwise known as Chief Troublemaker. And, networking, I actually call it relationships, because a network is a handshake. A relationship is really a hug, a hello, and a yes. And I think that people do business with people they like and someone that they're going to remember. And I think that that's really how deals are done. They're not done with companies, they're done with people. And I think that's really the most important thing, is doing business with people that you trust and that you like. And I think that's really the most important thing to always remember, is relationships matter. Form relationships.
Shyla, as an investor, you're seeing lots of companies and entrepreneurs come your way. And for underrepresented founders and for women in general, it can be hard to break through the mindset that it takes to continuously pitch and continuously have the conversations. What is some advice that you give to some of the entrepreneurs that you find to help them work through the mindset of what it means to raise?
Sure. So, and I'll just go ahead and plug, we do have a programming arm called Zane Access, where we only focus on capital readiness, because we feel like that's the biggest barrier for a lot of diverse entrepreneurs, is accessing capital. So one of the things that we really focus on in this program is confidence. And I know that sounds so cliche, but a lot of women are incredibly smart, have built great businesses and great ideas, but the confidence won't let them go and walk into rooms where they can sell that business, talk about that business, and be able to like relate to someone who's not in their regular network. I'll give you an example for me. So when I first started out, I went to what is called the CFA. This is where they talk about $500 billion funds. I was only thinking about raising a $5 million fund. I inserted myself into this group. I got into the room, and someone stepped in front of me when I got ready to ask a question. Now, you can't miss me. I'm 5'11". And so I decided, you're not gonna like override me. I just put my hand out and got my attention to the person that we wanted to talk to. The point I'm trying to make is that people will try to run you over. They will see you or you become invisible, but you gotta make your point clear without being rude or anything like that. But that confidence will get you everywhere. That got me to meetings with folks. That's gotten me 3 years later to having a venture fund. And so in those moments of where you're feeling like you're not your best self and you know, these people have everything, you have nothing. You have everything you need within you. But you got to have the confidence to show it and show up. And sometimes it's better to show them than to tell them. And so I just believe confidence is a great factor that women especially need to have walking into these rooms where darts are already thrown at us just because we're women.
Rizzo, you have built an amazing company, and you're working with the likes of Master P, Snoop Dogg. And so when Shyla's talking about the confidence to be in rooms of people who don't know you, maybe don't see you at first, tell us a little bit about your story and how you ended up working with Snoop, your diligence.
It's been amazing. So how I started my company, I had tears in my eyes just recently thinking about it from the help of you when you asked me that question. Kobe Bryant helped me start my company. And he didn't even know. So I was at a point in my life where I was like almost depressed. And this is years ago, 20. And I was uncomfortable. So once I got uncomfortable and I knew I wanted to do something with my life and start something, I wanted to start a business. I didn't know what I was about to do, what I'm about to tell you, was gonna be to help me where I'm at today. I created a video. I didn't know how to do video at all. It was a hobby I wanted to learn because I'm the only one ever to hold Kobe Bryant to his lowest career total points, 8 points in high school. So I'm the defensive player, and I shut him down. So I have a video, and it's online. It's on YouTube. I created that video for fun. But then I go to a gym to show off this video that I created. Every coach in the gym, which I'm networking, I didn't know at the time, they're saying, who made the video? And I'm saying, yo, that's me shutting down Kobe. And they're like, no, who made the video? I want to hire, because I need someone to edit my video. And I did, what? So then I changed and got into a business format. Right then, that video started my company. And then I started going to other gyms. I'm filming, I'm networking. I learned that we can communicate with others and exchange cards and talk. So that ended up leading me to a lady that owns Keller Williams, a broker. She has 300 agents in Philadelphia, Therese Brittingham. I filmed her daughter's whole team, and I said, she has some money. Let me go up to her and say, why did you pay for the whole team? And she told me, well, I just thought it was something nice to do. I said, what do you do? I'm a broker. I said, okay, Keller Williams, I want to work for you. I want to be your video marketing content director. And she said, that sounds unbelievable. She's like, show me some of your work in real estate. I said, I never did it, but I'm good. And then she hired me right then. I started to network more and more. And then my cousin introduced me to Master P. And I told him, I said, yo, Master P, No Limit. I always wanted to be a part of No Limit ever since I was a freshman in college. So 20 years later, God done, I spoke it into existence. I'm a true believer in God. If you write things down and you pray about it, it will happen. So I want you to walk away with that today. It will happen. Just believe in it. So I met P, and then P introduced me to Snoop Dogg. right? That's how networking is. But Snoop forgot that I met him when I was 19 years old. And all this, we have all the footage and everything of this. This is amazing. I was 19 years old, and I told Snoop, I'm at an event. I want to work for you. I want to work for you. And Snoop just took the picture with me, and that was it, and says, no, 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 right? 25 years later, I'm working with Snoop Dogg. So that's how I started the company.
I love that. And so, yes, you can give it up for that. So some of the things that Rizzo spoke about in that tripping upon a lane or making a lane for yourself where someone asked you to participate in something, Shelly, you have pioneered a lane for women. And with some of the things that people may not know is this is the woman who's responsible for the equality of the kinds of belts that the women receive and the men receive in WWE. So in WWE, you know, the men get the big, huge belts, and the women used to get the small belts. And so Shelly challenged that, and she challenged them. Now she has a huge belt of her own. But tell us a little bit about the journey pioneering those lanes, like going in and being the voice and saying, no, this isn't correct. Let's do it this way. What type of data do you need to gather to be able to show up in these spaces? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
You know, I'm going to do that in a minute, but I just want to say one thing because we talked about confidence, and I just want to talk about the difference between men and women for 1 second of what you just uncovered, because what you did, you know, women, there's imposter syndrome, and men and women both have imposter syndrome. Men just ignore that voice in their head, and women let that voice get louder. So what you just did was you bragged about yourself, you asked for it, you went for it, and nothing held you back, and you had the confidence. And all of those things you did, and that's where you got to where you went. It is not complicated. So for all of you women out there, I just want to say that was a perfect example of what happened. We need to brag about ourselves, we need to ask for it, and we need to shut that voice up in our head. And I really want to say the word, shut that bitch up, because that's what you got to do. It is not that hard, so just go for it. So I couldn't miss the opportunity to use you as an example because it works and it's not that hard. Sorry, I couldn't miss the moment. Okay, the champion belt. I'm not totally responsible, but the women's title belt used to be a little tiny butterfly belt. Why? The men's belt is this big championship belt. So women are badass wrestlers. That's now the same equal belt. So I did get a championship belt, and it does say Chief Troublemaker on one side, and it says my name on the other side. I have a tiny little waist, so it does push up way too high. But it's a badass belt, and it's awesome. And the craziest thing is, I was in Saudi Arabia for 24 hours, and I was taking 50 women out for dinner, and Steph McMahon, who I'm obsessed with, she's now the CEO of WWE. And she calls me up. She says, are you in Saudi Arabia? I said, yes. She says, tonight and tonight only, the women are wrestling in Saudi Arabia, making history. For the first time in history, I happened to be in Saudi Arabia. She says, you have to go watch them wrestle. I said, what? I hadn't even posted. I said, how'd you know I'm here? She says, I called your office. They said, you're there. She says, you have to go watch them wrestle. And she said, they're on at 9 p.m. I said, but I'm at dinner with 50 women. She says, you're taking all of them to watch them wrestle. So I said, to the women, do you want to go watch WWE, the women wrestle? Said, are you kidding me? All these women with hijabs, they said, of course we want to go. We didn't even eat dinner. They all jumped in the car. We went and watched the women wrestle in Saudi Arabia. It was so amazing. So we showed up at the VIP door. I assumed we were VIP. The security guard said, you're at the wrong door. It was 1 minute to 9. The women did not give a shit that we were at the wrong door. They pushed the security guard aside. I thought I was going to be arrested. They raced in. We went to the front of the ring, and we watched the women make history wrestling in Saudi Arabia. And you watched all of these women cheering on the wrestlers, the WWE wrestlers in Saudi Arabia. It was game-changing. That is WWE.
You know, yes. there's a couple things that I'm hearing you say, the three of you say. Some of it has been like, I got a phone call. Some of it has been like, this person introduced, my cousin introduced me. Some of this has been like, I had this one believer. Some of this has been networks that maybe you didn't identify as a huge, strong network or connection at first. So let's talk a little bit about you're in a room and you know that you need something. And maybe you just got the gall at that moment to ask for it. How do you navigate these rooms? What are some tactics that you use to stay in them when maybe it doesn't feel like you should be there? When maybe you're introverted, or maybe it's like you're the only one, or maybe you're like, I'm too creative for this, really, everybody wearing black and blue suits. Or how do you stay and continue moving forward?
Oh, you got it? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's my personality. The personality is the key. You have to have that smile. Even when you're feeling down, when you wake up, you better get up, go to work, and know that that smile is really something. I was walking down the hallway, Keller Williams in our office, and the one agent stopped me, and she says, Rizzo, you're always smiling, you're always happy. She's like, what do you do? What is it? And I said, it's just me, but I programmed that a long time ago. And I see people all across the world, and I see a lot of not smiling. That personality, so to smile to me and just being that outgoing person, I can take over any room. Anywhere I go, they always say, Rizzo, hey, even when they're down. So it's the smile and that personality.
So I have an RBF, and I'm sure some of the women have been said they have an RBF as well. And so for me, I don't have that happy personality. I have a curious
Wait, you want to tell who that? Raise your hand. Okay, I want to make you identify yourself. Won't you tell us what RBF, everybody understands that?
It's called resting bitch face. My daughter is the first person that called me that. And I don't know what's on my mind. I'm not thinking
the mic up a little bit.
I'm not thinking anything about anything. I'm just probably in my own zone. But I'm still happy on the inside. It's just not me smiling on the outside. But for me, it's a curiosity, right? I've been a curious person since probably I even knew what the word curious means. I'm always looking for something. So I'll tell you how I got into venture capital. An entrepreneur approached me about helping them. I just started my own business in 2018, and I was going to, help women and all this sort of stuff. And an entrepreneur needed to raise capital. I didn't know what the heck that meant. I didn't know what venture capital meant. I knew I had a network, but I was so curious about that. I was like, I'm going to help you. I worked with that entrepreneur 7 months, getting him what I call capital ready now, helping him with this pitch deck, introducing him to the investors. I was able to get him to a $5 million letter of intent with no experience whatsoever. It was just about me accessing my network. And so, but that curiosity, I was like, oh my God, what is it? And then I saw a problem. A $4 trillion opportunity where folks weren't investing in women and people of color. And I'm like, okay, so this curiosity is going to lead me to a venture fund. And so for me, it's curiosity. I'm a lifelong learner. I always want to know what's next. But I just feel like if you go beyond like whatever someone told you should be doing, like we were both told we should be doing events, I'm like, I can do a whole lot of things. And so the curiosity for me is how I get to go into different rooms, different areas, because I'm like, let me look that up. Okay, I'm going to go there and see what's happening. That room I told you about earlier, it's the CFA Society. A person like me is not supposed to be in there. I was the only black woman. I was probably one of a few other women. But the curiosity said, there's money in that room. I better go and kind of figure out where that money comes from. And so, yeah, that's it for me.
Where do you start? So I have always been an only and lonely my entire career. And there's always a yes. You just have to find it. And so there's always a loophole. And there's always a way in. And so I was has anyone taken an online survey before? So I am the pioneer of online surveys. I'm the mother of that invention. Sorry, not sorry. And so I had this idea to migrate research from offline to online in a day and age where nobody was online. And so I remember that I went to all my bosses. I was in market research when surveys were in central locations and telephone. And so I went to my bosses, they were all men, and I said, oh, I have this crazy idea to move research to the internet when only wealthy men with broadband connections were on the internet. It was 14.4 modems. And they said, but it's not the right time. And I said, well, okay. And I was sitting on a panel with the chief research officer of Procter & Gamble, and all my bosses were in the front row, and I was whispering to the head of research for Procter & Gamble. And I came off the stage, and my bosses all said, well, what were you talking to him about? I said, well, I just asked him, when is the right time to come to Procter & Gamble and talk about online research? And they said, well, what did he say? I said, well, he said to come next week. And I said, great. And they said, great. Paul will go, John will go, Ringo will go, and Star will go. And I said, but what about Shelley? And they said, well, it's really a boys' club, and that's the right team to go. And I said, well, then I'm going to cancel the meeting, and we'll wait for the right time. And that was that. And Shelley went, and of course, I became the pioneer of online research. And so there's always a way in. And the crazy thing is, the following week, I went to Warner Brothers, and I met with the head of research for Warner Brothers. And I asked them, because in movie research, there was only one vendor in mall research that was the grandfather of every studio chief's business. So it was all about mall research, and there was no other solution. And they said, you can't do online research here because we have contracts with exclusivity with one vendor and one vendor only for 50 years. No one has ever broken the pattern. We have exclusivity, non-negotiable. And I said, let me look at the contract. I looked at the contract, and it said exclusivity with NRG Mall Research. And I said, oh, it says mall research. I'm coming in with online research. That was the loophole. And that's how I broke a pattern of exclusivity. There's always a solution. You just have to find it.
I love that. So we have 3 tools that you just received, okay? Personality, curiosity, and finding a loophole. In my book, 7 Steps to Building a $1 Billion Network, I talk about the power of asking questions. Now, there's a quote that says, the quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. I flip that and I say, the power of your questions determines the power you can have in life. And so I want to ask you, what kind of questions, and you could just ask the questions out loud and kind of do like a round table. What kind of questions have you had to ask yourself as entrepreneurs? Or what kind of questions are you asking of others to move things forward as entrepreneurs?
Since I work with entrepreneurs all day, every day, it's always about your why. Why are you building this? Why you? Why now? Those sort of things. And I think it's incredibly important that you know these. And I'm sure, most of the folks who are smart, they already have these sort of answers. But for me, it's the why. And I guess I've always been that, even for myself, why am I doing this? Like, what is the end result that I'm trying to reach? Making sure that it's not self-serving, that I'm actually out here making a difference and, breaking down barriers, which I said I'm going to do. And so it's a continuous why for me. And I think everybody should, at some point be talking to, not talking to yourself, that sounds kind of weird, but also kind of just, thinking about your why, because folks want to know. I want to know, why should I invest in you? And how are you different from the next person who may have something similar that you're building? And so knowing your why you did this, I know why I did this. I saw a problem in the market, and I felt like that I was uniquely qualified to solve it. I don't have the technical background for Fincher. I don't have the finance background, but I felt like I have, I embody, looking at problems and solving problems. And I look for the other problem solvers. So I think it's just critically important that you understand your why and make sure you're not doing some self-serving project that you feel like I should invest in only because, it's cute right now. So knowing your why, I think, is incredibly important.
should I work with this person? Should I work with this person? That is a constant thing with all of us, right? There's so many people that try to come up to you, especially with me now that I'm with Master P all the time. I question that. I'm like, and what happened was Master P, when I first met him through my cousin, it took Master P 8 months to work with me. But we're talking, we're texting. I said, hey, send me the schedule. When can I start filming? Okay, I'm gonna send it to you, Rizzo. It's 8 months. I'm like, yo, what's going on, right? Later on, maybe 2 years later, Master P, we had a conversation after I'm already hired. He said, Rizzo, I was building a relationship with you in those 8 months. And that jewel I took right now, and you can take that too. So build that relationship. You're going to know right away, maybe a month or maybe a week, you know, about that person a little bit more. It's like, oh, I knew I shouldn't work with that person, right? It will come. I've seen it. I've learned that from my coach, Master P. That was a good one. So that's the question I ask all the time.
I'd ask, you know, do you believe in yourself? Because, you know, everything I've ever built has not been in a textbook. And so if, you know, I've always been the first, the second, and the third. The first is the innovator. So you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So you got to really believe in yourself to keep going. The second is the copycat, but they don't really get what's under the hood. The third is always the sweeper. They ride in on the shiny, you know, white horse, and they win. So you got to have that resilience and that, you know, stickiness that you're going to keep going. So do you believe enough in yourself to keep pushing even when you fall? You got to pick up and you got to keep going. So do you believe enough in yourself and in what you're doing and have that purpose and that passion, because it is hard when you are starting something. So you better believe in yourself enough to keep picking yourself up, because no one else is going to.
I just want to add on something that I should have followed up with. Even you should ask me, why should you take my capital? Like, I think entrepreneurs think it's a one-sided relationship. It's a two-sided. Your question made me think about that. Why would you want to work with me? Ask yourself that. Am I going to be able to do the things that you need to do to grow and scale your company? Can I get you in rooms? Can I get you customers? That sort of stuff. So the why is also, for me, ask me those sort of why questions. And so when you're meeting with investors and they ask you, do you have anything to ask me? That's when you start your interviewing and start asking them, why should I do this and why should you do that? So I just want to make sure that I empower you entrepreneurs to say that it's not just you, it's a two-sided relationship. And think about that when you're talking to folks who you want to bring on your cap table.
Agree with that completely, because I had an investor that did not give me back the value that I brought them. Very, very important. And actually, I want to tell one story. I had an investor that brought me a banker that wrote my bank book, and I actually hated the book they wrote. My company was a wow factor, and it excited and delighted everyone. And then the banker wrote me this generic book with all these little numbers, and it sucked. And they wanted me to pitch with it. And I said, I'm not pitching that book. It sucks. It does not reflect my company. So I refuted it. And they got all pissed off at me. And I said, but that's not who we are. And I said, give me 3 hours. I'll come back with the book that I'm going to pitch. And they said, but that's not how it's done. I said, but that's not how I'm going to do it. I'll give you back what I'm going to do. I came back with this page that every page you turned excited and delighted and was a wow and talked to you and all that. And I got 8 out of 8 yeses. And it was so not normal, but it was my normal. So own it and be who you are.
Yeah, I love that. So this next question, we'll go Rizzo, Shelly, and then Shyla. You know, how do you, so in the book I'm also talking about resisting being average. Now, you know, you have to know when to say the yes and the no at the right times as well, in the power of partnerships. So Rizzo, you could have got stuck working for Keller Williams forever. You know, it never got to a masterpiece. You could have been like, no, I know I see this great opportunity over here, but I'm so loyal to this one, or I'm so dedicated to this one. You could have got stuck in a rhythm of working for maybe a not so great place. What causes you to resist being average?
Yeah, well, for one, Keller Williams, I owe that loyalty. I'm loyal. That's another personality I have. I'm loyal, right? Therese Brittenham, took me in, gave me that opportunity. So I told her I would never, ever leave her office, ever, no matter what. So my team is going to be there no matter what. If I'm flying somewhere, we're still there. So once I've learned about the average people, and you're going to have to go through this in life, the average people, once I learned that that's not the route that I want to go. I'm not a $150 man. I'm not $200 man, right? I'm going to charge you, let's say, $497, right, just to be with me for an hour, right? Once I created that from another coach of mine, Tiana Johnson, right? Once she said $497, get 2,012 people, Rizzo. 2,012 people, $497, charge them. I said, okay, how much is that? She said, that's your $1 million. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. Once I programmed my mind and I did it, then it was over. I never, ever will go with average. I'm going to know my worth, right? Know your worth. And we hear that all the time.
Shelly, speaking of knowing your worth, same question, resisting being average. You work with a lot of partners. How do you navigate the ones that are trying to waste your time and the ones that really, really mean what they're saying and want to create the ROI? How do you resist being average that way?
I mean, average. I'll never be average. I'm a one of a kind, and I think we're all one of a kind. I mean, average is status quo, and status quo is just, vanilla. I like vanilla ice cream, but I like chocolate chips on top. So I will never accept average. So, but I will help anyone that wants help as long as they pay it forward. And so I get calls from girls all over the world. My answer is always yes. I will always say yes, with the condition that they pay it forward. And I call that rose petals. So that is value for me. It does not come in money. It comes in kindness of paying it forward. And so as long as I will mentor anyone that asks me for help with the value exchange of paying it forward with kindness. So if someone asks me for time, I will say, as long as you pay it forward, I'm good. That is more value than anything. And I get the best love letters 10 years later with girls that will tell me that they have done this, and this. And that, to me, is the best value exchange I can ever get. So that, to me, is worth everything. And those are rose petals to me. So.
Yeah, I love that. Shyla, as an investor, people often, like you spoke about, just want to fit into the investor's mold. They want to just say the right thing. They want to get the right deck. They want to give the right presentation because they're trying to get what they feel like is the right investment from you. But on average, you see a lot of investments that you actually are like, that is not standing out to me. How should people think about resisting being average when you're in this pool of just pitching to people with funding?
So let me just say this. First of all, I don't ever think I've been average. I don't even know what that means. When I worked, I tried to go above and beyond whatever anybody asked me to. So, and I think that's something that we should all try to navigate. We see a lot of pitches. I am so interested in the problem solvers who are incredibly bold, right? I'll give you an example. There's a company that I invested in called Own Kitchen. She was here at CES a couple of years ago. Her mom kept leaving the stove on at home, and she thought other people, and almost burning the house down, Now, this is a Duke neuroscientist who decides, you know what, I'm going to leave that and go create a product so that people don't burn their houses down. And so she created a smart knob that you can retrofit on any stove, and it becomes a smart stove. That to me is like, oh my gosh, she was bold enough, leaving what could have been a lucrative career to go to an entrepreneurship and build this company to solve a problem. And so when I heard, like, hearing her story, and then one thing is storytelling is really important when you're going in front of us. A lot of us love to hear that you found this problem based on some sort of personal problem or something, and you wanted to solve it, and you felt like you were uniquely qualified to solve it. Those are the entrepreneurs I really love. I don't like seeing when there's so many different companies right now focused on the same type problem. Give me something different. I met a company here yesterday, and they're focused on maternal mortality. That is so interesting to me because they're talking about health disparities and how do we solve this problem for women when women go have their babies. What are all these ways we can solve it? That is the kind of stuff I love. That's a problem that's not only going to benefit that founder, but so many women who are having, especially black women, who are having these problems. So for me, it is like the bold founder who found that problem, incredibly smart, and decided they were uniquely qualified to solve it. And so those are the ones that interest me the most.
So here you all are. You're above average, killing the game, doing your thing. You know, you're out here changing lives, pioneering paths, investing, partnering, creating equality. So question for you. How do you stay in the game? Because there's some rough days, some great days, mostly great days, I'm hoping. But what keeps you churning at the thing that you're working at ongoing?
For me, I say when purpose meets passion, you're unstoppable. So that's what keeps me going every single day. I also have a no regret policy. I never want to look back and say shoulda, woulda, coulda. So I think forward, and if I'm going to feel bad about a choice, I don't make it. And that's how I live my life.
For me, it is, I turn my pain to purpose, and I had a lot of pain, a lot of obstacles in my life, and that's what keeps me going. And then created the mindset of King Kongan, and for Queen Kongan, you know, that mindset, it means that you're a soldier, you're a warrior, you're a conqueror. You can get through anything. So I literally programmed that in my head, and so I keep going. No matter what obstacle in my business, I'm going to always keep going. And with the King Kongan, now that we have it, King Kongan, you can look it up. We are looking for some investors. You have. This is a round table, right? This is a panel, right?
He's asking for it. There you go.
So we are looking for investors. You got Snoop Dogg as the brand ambassador. You got Master P as the brand ambassador. So you and I need to talk because
As long as there's tech in that company, we can have a conversation.
Okay, we're gonna figure it out.
This is
Find
how
a
you
loophole,
build a
right?
$1 billion network.
That's how
You
you
gonna
build
find
it.
a loophole.
That's how you build.
Keep
We're gonna find a
smiling.
loophole.
Find a loophole.
It's always one person that says yes. Is that right? I done tripped her up on that one.
How do you say? How do you say? Because you know, one of the things that people don't often understand is that investors have to raise capital too.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you're coming to us to invest, but we got to go to people to invest as well. So how do you stay in it?
So, I mean, it might sound cliche, but I take my entrepreneurs in the room to me. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation. I was having I had already got the commitment from a potential LP, and we were just going through the diligence process. And that person raised their voice at me. And if you know me, like, that's a non-starter for me. Like, I don't care.
Give me their phone number. I'm going after them.
No, it's okay.
Tell me who they are. They're in
They
trouble.
raised their voice at me, and it was the one day I thought about quitting. But all I could see was the entrepreneurs who I really want to back, who I really want to work with and want to see succeed. And that, like, pipe my personality down, take the yelling for a second. But it is truly the entrepreneurs. It is truly the change makers out here who are going to create businesses that just make the world better. So that is what I keep in front of me. It keeps me, I'm constantly looking for ways to kind of help entrepreneurs succeed. And so I have bad days like everybody else, like Shelly's point. I got to go raise capital like everyone else. I get told no just as much as you all get told no. But I still have to get up the next day and think about, okay, so I want to invest in this, and that, and then pitch again. And so it's just really the entrepreneurs that I really adore.
Queen Kongan. Queen Kongan. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you're doing. You're constantly in beast mode, and we love you. We love everyone who's constantly in that beast mode. You got to keep.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're unique and when you're not average, all you need is one yes.
One, yeah.
Period.
One.
So a lot of times when you listen to panels, and we're coming to a close in a few minutes, it's hard to, there's a lot of takeaways that came out of today. But I also want to give something a little bit more concrete in terms of where do you start? So there's somebody out here who's like, I love all of this, and this is great, and I'm inspired, and I'm going to walk away from here, and I'm going to take one step toward building my network further. What would be a step that you believe, or even that you took maybe from your own journey, just the first step? I love how you said, you know, you only need one yes. You could, if everybody could take one step today toward building your network, getting it solid, and making those asks for what you're looking for, not even ask, not ask in need, but ask in opportunity. Your ask is opening up opportunity to someone else. What would you say is a step that someone can take forward to begin solidifying their billion-dollar network?
So I'll start. When I started, I knew what I didn't know, right? And I knew what I didn't have. I didn't have a track record. I didn't have 30 years of experience. So I just Googled who was the best investor in town in Atlanta. And this guy came up, Sig Mosley. I was just like, I'm going to meet Sig Mosley, and Sig is going to work with me. I had no idea if Sig would say yes or no. And this is a man who is known for saying no. So I asked him for coffee. We met for coffee in 2018. I introduced a deal that I had, was working with this entrepreneur on. He wasn't interested. But he said, if you need help, you know, just call me. We'll meet again. We kept meeting and meeting and meeting. And I kept learning so much more from him. So fast forward, when I needed to say, okay, I'm going to raise a fund now, I got a partner beside me, venture partner, who has all the credibility that I don't have. That's how a lot of doors open for me. This one man. And he has the largest exit in the Southeast, $6 billion. That has not been met to date. He opened so many doors for me. And it was just a LinkedIn connection. So take that one person you really, really want to meet and reach out to them on LinkedIn and see what happens. They don't answer, find someone else. That person, someone will eventually answer to get you to where you're going to go. So I'm suggesting connect with someone out of the blue and see what happens.
Yes, yes. I don't want to take you to church, but I'm being serious now. God. Find God. That's what I would tell anyone. And I believe I'm successful because 20 years, the whole 20 years that I'm pushing my businesses, I never missed a block party at my church. I always went back into the community and gave back. My company has always did every video for our church, all the content for free. I feel as though I'm blessed by the best because I know God, I got God, and that is the only way for me to get successful. That's the step. Thank you. Amen. We're not in church, but amen.
Work hard. Don't take shortcuts, you know? And sometimes people think it's easy. It's not. It's work hard. And believe in yourself, work hard, and pay it forward, connect with others, support one another, you know, say hello to everyone next to you, and invest in Black Girl Ventures, you know.
Yes.
Yes.
And Zane Venture Fund.
Yes.
And King
please do.
Kongan.
And keep all of
My
it.
card is on your seat.
But I'm, you know, and a little bit goes a long way. You know, you don't really understand that $10, $100, pay it forward, it multiplies.
Yes.
You know, it really does. So, you know, we all think that someone else is going to do it. They're not.
That's right. We got to pay it forward, believe in your higher power, reach into yourself, and always reach out to someone that you didn't know. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been an amazing conversation. The book, Originate, Motivate, Innovate, 7 Steps to Building a $1 Billion Network, is available right now on Amazon. You can DM me on Instagram at OmiBell, and I'll send you the link. Right after this, we are going to have a tech meetup, so you can also step over if you want to get that RSVP link, and I can help you out with that. We'll have a QR code for the book, so come meet us, meet someone you didn't know, meet my esteemed panel, have an awesome event, enjoy your show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the final session of the Startup Stage, brought to you by the Consumer Technology Association. Since this is our last session, we hope you have a great show at CES 2023 and safe travels to your home.